AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride!
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge. Matt?
You're a loser, man!
Hey, shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
You, sir. And Mr. Toby Tomplett. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Joe Doyle here in about 15 minutes. We'll talk a little MLB Draft, which is coming up on Sunday. It'll certainly shape the future of the LSU Baseball program. 1 hour from right now, I do want to talk about Cooper Moore. He's a Kansas weekend arm. He is a draft-eligible sophomore. Visited LSU this week. Some rumblings. It might be a hard LSU lean. But you got to make it through the draft even if he does commit. So we'll talk about Cooper Moore 1 hour from right now. Sam Spiegelman will be here next hour as well. I don't love doing mock drafts in July, so I'm not going to do that. That's not what this is. Pro Football Focus has an updated list for the draft rankings, preseason draft rankings by position. And this is obviously, when you look at Pro Football Focus, this isn't a subjective big board mock draft. This is their rating system to rank position by position. And so they're looking at the X receivers, and if you're not familiar, that's like your out wide receiver, right? You have your X, your Y, and your Z. And Nic Anderson comes in on this list at number 4. The number 4 X wide receiver in the country for the upcoming draft. 6'4", 210, and we've looked at Nic Anderson, and man, it's so impressive because his numbers at Oklahoma just popped. The guy averaged 20 yards a reception. His yards per reception, for context, rivaled what Jamar Chase did in 2019 when he won the Biletnikoff. The problem with Anderson is he's had one healthy season. He missed all of last year with injury, was limited in spring at LSU this year. He was a full go in the spring game or spring scrimmage, whatever you want to call it, which was the first time we media really saw him a full go, like full contact, full go, which was really encouraging. But the potential is there. I mean, he's just dripping and oozing potential. One of the most memorable plays of the spring scrimmage, if you were there, if you remember it. Nic Anderson was matched up against DJ Pickett, 5-star number 1 corner, and Nic Anderson beat DJ Pickett by probably 5 yards. I mean, just burned him off the ball and had him toasted, and Michael Van Buren just misfired, overthrew him, unfortunately. But the ability is undeniable, right? Whenever you miss a season and you're still there as the number 4 projected player at your position in next year's draft, when you're coming off a year where you missed an entire season, that's really validating for the physical talent and ability. A guy that was one of the top 10 overall prospects in the portal, regardless of position for this year, which is why it was very intriguing for LSU. The interesting thing for me, though, with Anderson, with this much sort of hype around Nic Anderson, it begs the question, with one football, how do you keep everyone happy. Because Aaron Anderson was your leading receiver a year ago, with 61 catches for 884 yards. You know, you've got Aaron Anderson back. You've got a guy like Kyle Parker, who, when Chris Hilton got injured a year ago, took that role. And then, unfortunately, he got injured. Oh, speaking of, Chris Hilton's back, and all he did last year was catch 9 balls for an average of 27 yards a reception. Of his 9 receptions, 3 went for touchdowns. Say that again. Of his 9 receptions, 3 went for touchdowns. Doesn't it stand to reason Chris Hilton's going to have a bigger role and Kyle Parker would have a bigger role? Oh, by the way, Aaron Anderson is back for another year. And then you're adding Nic Anderson and Berrien Brown. Oh, you're also bringing Trey'Dez Green back for another year, who we're all anticipating Trey'Dez to have an even larger increased role. You brought in Bauer Sharp at tight end. You see my point? Like, there's only one ball. How are you going to distribute all these targets? And I could argue that's a good problem to have. I mean, if you're Joe Sloan, you have no shortage of options here. It kind of reminds me of that 2011 backfield. If you remember this, I mean, it's weird to say, but it's been 14 years. But remember, that team had Spencer Ware and Alfred Blue and Kenny Hilliard and Terrence McGee. I mean, they were Michael Ford. They had 5 dudes, and Jeremy Hill was supposed to be on that team, but you remember he was ineligible that year as they were working out through his legal matter. But you had 5 dudes who any of them could have been a bell cow. And they sort of rotated sort of fluidly through them. And it might be similar here with the receivers. But if there is one reason why I think the numbers could work, it's if you look at the reception numbers from a year ago for LSU. Aaron Anderson, 61 for 884, was your leading receiver. Kyron Lacey was second on the team, 58 for 866. Kyron Lacey, obviously, tragedy. His career was over. You know, he wouldn't have been back on this team anyway. And I'm specifically just talking numbers here. Mason Taylor, 55 for 546. 55 for 546. He's obviously gone to the NFL. Next was C.J. Daniels, 42 for 480. He's no longer at LSU. He's now at Miami. Next was Josh Williams, 31 for 263. He's also gone. You see my point? After Aaron Anderson, Lacey, Taylor, Daniels, Williams, the next four highest pass catchers are all gone. That equals 186 receptions. I'm not sitting here trying to bore you with math and numbers, but it is a little daunting to think, okay, how do you make sure you get the ball to Aaron Anderson and Xavier Thomas and Nic Anderson and Berrien Brown and Chris Hilton and Kyle Parker? Oh, you've also got Harlem Berry coming in, and you're going to throw the ball to Caden Durham. We haven't even talked about Trey'Dez Green and Bauer Sharp. That's 10. That's 10 guys, any of which you could feature in your passing game, which there's just not enough there to go around. And that's not even talking about the guys who redshirted last year, guys like Kylan Billiot who are back, or Jelani Watkins, or an incoming guy like Teron Francis. I mean, you have a logjam of pass catchers, which is a great problem because you've got a ton of experience, or you have a ton of talent. But with one football, how do you distribute and how do you determine who's going to be what role? And I could say, look, well, Nic Anderson, he's going to be your blow the top off the defense guy, right? He's going to be your deep threat, your home run hitter. Well, isn't that Chris Hilton's role? So how do they split that? I don't have the answer, so I don't want to mislead you, think, I have some prophetic solution that's going to come this way. What I do know is that 186 receptions from a season ago are out the door. And it's even more if you throw in a guy like Kamorian Pimpton, who had 6, Javen Nicholas, who had 3, John Emery, who had 1. Just another 10. So really it's closer to like 200 all told. It's like 200 receptions from last year are not back. So you get to divvy that up. And what probably happens is your young guys that were returning, that were maybe looking to take that step, your Kyle Parker, your Kylan Billiot, Jelani Watkins, your incoming guys like Teron Francis, those guys probably have to sit and wait another year because you brought in Nic Anderson, you brought in Berrien Brown, you've got Trey'Dez taking another year step, you brought in Bauer Sharp, like all these guys that are there that are probably going to be on the field and get more targets. Harlem Berry, how does he factor in? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that, but I think that's a fascinating thing to watch. I mean, we've seen it done in tandem before. Like in tandem, it's been really impressive. You go back to 2023 with Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas. Neighbors had 89 for 1,500 yards. Brian Thomas had 68 for just under 1,200 yards. You go back to 2019, it was Jamar and Justin Jefferson. Jamar, 84 for 1,700. Jets had 111 for 1,500 yards. Terrace Marshall was third with 46 catches for 671. Then yet Thad Moss, 47 for 570. I mean, that team, Burrow that year, completed 426 passes. Now, they also played 15 games, and maybe those numbers are inflated because you played 15. But, man, love to see this team play 15, potentially 16 games and win a national championship if you get there. If you get there, I don't think there'll be any complaining about who's getting what targets. But this is one where it's worth watching because Nic Anderson, back to bring it back full circle, is a very highly projected NFL draft prospect. But by Pro Football Focus in their positional draft rankings. But Aaron Anderson, Chris Hilton, Savion Thomas, Trey'Dez Green, Bauer Sharp, like, is he the sixth option? Kyle Parker? I don't know. I don't know how it's going to play out. That's going to be a fascinating thing to watch with how LSU distributes the football to all of its, not its receivers, its pass catchers in 2025. All right, it's after further review. We're glad you're hanging out with us here. We're brought to you by Evermore. Drink Evermore, y'all. EVAMOR. You can find it at great local retailers. You can order it online at evermore.com. EVAMOR, evermore.com. I got a text earlier today from Christian on the text line. He said, only the best on my inspections. It's a photo of him holding up a bottle of Evermore. So you can find it anywhere, man. If you're working out in the sun, make sure you stay hydrated. You want a better form of hydration. If you're a high-performance athlete, maybe you're a parent, you want a healthier option for your children, Evermore. EVAMOR, EVAMOR, evermore.com. That is a Louisiana product. Drink Evermore. All right, y'all, it's after further review, and glad you're hanging out with us here. Thursday shows presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge. Let's knock out a break. Come back, talk some MLB Draft with our buddy Joe Doyle. It's AFR.
AFR.
No matter if it's July, if it's December as we're near on the holidays, right there in October in the middle of football season, and Q4 you're trying to finish the year strong. Whatever business or industry that you work in, you got to have the right people to make your business the most effective. And that's what Glow Resources does. They cast their net far and wide to find the right people to make your business the most effective. Look, they're experts in finding skilled blue-collar labor if that's what you need. But they also have their professional placement division where they can help you find professionals for any job in any industry. If it's legal, if it's media, if it's accounting, if it's the industrial sector, you need Glow Resources. If you need to find a way to be more efficient, to find the right people to maximize productivity, Glow Resources can help. So check them out online at glowresources.com. Complete employer solutions.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
All right, the MLB Draft starts on Sunday. Jay Johnson will be locked into that. Future of the program will be shaped coming up on Sunday and Monday. Joe Doyle will be locked in as well. Of course, Future Star Series, host of Overslot. Check him out on Twitter, overslot_. He's on Twitter at Joe Doyle, MILB. Joe, we always appreciate it, man. Thank you for the time. How are you?
Matt, it's good to be back. What was I on this show, like 3 or 4 weeks ago? It's good to be back twice in 1 month.
No, we're glad to have you, man. Hey, I think it seems like a foregone conclusion now that Cade Anderson's going to go number 1 overall. Do you like it? Nationals, Cade, number 1 overall?
I do. Yeah, especially with the firing of Mike Rizzo. I think if you're the scouting director there, if you're in charge of making sure that you make an impact right away, you probably want the college pitcher that is going to move quickly, that is polished, that is pitched in big moments, that is going to help contribute to a winning culture sooner rather than later in the Washington Nationals organization. And then, you couple that with the fact that the Nationals need pitching. I mean, their farm system needs pitching, and they need high minors pitching. So I think Anderson is going to be a phenomenal fit in Washington. And I think if you look at what they've done with Mackenzie Gore, Cade Anderson is not too terribly different.
Yeah. Do you project him as a front of the rotation guy?
It depends on what you define as front of the rotation. I have him as a number 2 starter,
Okay.
maybe on the lower end of a number 2 starter. I think he's similar to some of the things that John Lester did during the prime of his career. I don't know if anybody would have ever called John Lester at any point an ace, just a bulldog. Now, he was a phenomenal arm, don't get me wrong, and absolutely key to some World Series winning title teams. But at the end of the day, I think Cade Anderson probably slots in as a number 2 when he's fully developed.
What do you think about the decision Chase Shores is going to have to make, Joe? A guy that when his stuff is right, it looks as good as anything you'll see at the college level or anywhere, but maybe projecting early as a reliever because he hasn't shown the ability to be a consistent starter. It's interesting, man. You come back, you start, maybe you're a top half of round 1 guy, or do you maybe take a couple $1 million now and begin that pro career?
Yeah, man, I've said this for a handful of weeks now. LSU's trying to keep Chase Shores. They're trying to keep him around. They're trying to give him overtures of being a weekend guy. Chase doesn't have a very long and decorated baseball card at this point. He hasn't pitched too much in the SEC or in college baseball for that matter at all. So I think he does have a tough decision because it's the body, it's the stuff, it's the arm talent that should get you picked in the top 25, top 30 picks in any given draft. But given his circumstances and what he's gone through, I think he's probably going to have to choose between taking 1.1, 1.2, maybe up to 1.5 million bucks, or going back to Baton Rouge and trying to double that.
Do you think if he comes back, has a successful season as a starter, he's a guy that could be a top half of round 1 guy?
Without question. I mean, Chase Shores can come back and show that he can live 96 to 99 with a bowling ball sinker and an 87 to 90 mile an hour slider. It doesn't even matter if he's 22 at that point. Scouts will look at that and go, even if we think this kid is fully developed and he's not projectable, it's already up to 101 miles an hour with a wipeout slider. If he shows that he can come in and pitch long innings and throw strikes, I have no doubt, no question at all that he can still go in the top 20, top 25 picks in 2026.
Joe Doyle is with us at Joe Doyle MILB. If you want to give him a follow, maybe the equivalent on the position player side would be Ethan Fry. So I'll just put it on the tee for you. What can you tell us about how you project Fry this weekend?
Yeah, I've talked to actually a few people over the course of the last handful of days. I think Ethan Fry is a guy that is kind of starting to rise a little bit. As of a few weeks ago, it was, 5th or 6th round because he hadn't really played defense. I know, guys have seen him in a corner outfield. Guys have seen him at first base on a very abbreviated basis, but they really haven't seen it over the course of actual game settings in season. I'm starting to hear a little bit more of late 3rd, 4th round for Ethan Fry. So I think there's a chance that he could go pro. And I have heard that he's interested in going pro. But on the other side of the coin, I've also heard, like the Chase Shores thing, LSU is working overtime to get Ethan Fry to return back to school. So he is one of the more important pieces that LSU could lose in this draft. And at this point, 3 weeks ago, I would have said, I think there's probably a 75, 80% chance that he's going to be back in the purple and gold. Now, I think it's more of a coin toss with Ethan Fry. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. It'd be hard for him to walk away from the money in the 3rd round that teams can offer.
Yeah, can confirm they're working really hard trying to keep Ethan Fry in Baton Rouge. Joe, is there anybody else among the current players that, for whatever reason, you're looking at that strikes your fancy?
In terms of guys that could return?
Either. Just where you might project them in the draft, or just someone that you think will be an interesting prospect to see where they fall?
Yeah, I mean, I think the guy that really kind of catches my eye is Jacob Myers. I mean, we've seen Jacob Myers unbelievable at times. Like, when he's in the zone, nobody hits him. Nobody can get base hits off of him. But when he's not throwing strikes, I mean, the walks come in bunches. So it's unbelievable arm talent. It's unbelievable fastball metrics. And it's probably, I think everybody would agree at this point that Jacob Myers is probably at best like an 8th inning type of leverageable reliever. I'm just not sure Like, is he a 6th rounder because someone really believes they can straighten him out, or is he a 12th to 15th rounder? It's just he's a really difficult evaluation. The ceiling is obviously pretty exciting, and the floor is a guy that just kind of gets stuck in Double A. So he's one that I'm going to be watching on Sunday and Monday.
Yeah, it's I mean, he'll sign, right? I mean, there's no chance of him coming back. He's got all his leverage. He's signed. Just a matter of where he's going to go in those top 10 rounds.
I would think so. It's just when you put together the year that Myers did at LSU, kind of struggled to find a role. I would think LSU would look at that and go, we're going to have some other guys in the transfer portal that can probably assume that role, and they probably won't want to push too much NIL money or resources toward that one.
Let's talk about the high school guys. There are some that are pretty obvious, right? Like Quentin Young and Brady Ebel, Jaden Fauske. Like those guys they'll never show up on campus. Is there maybe a guy or two that you're keeping a close eye on based on their situation who you think, I thought that guy might sign, but now it looks like he might actually end up on campus?
Yeah, I've said this for a little while. I don't know if it's going to be the case. It wouldn't surprise me if Brady Ebel ended up on campus. I know that he really wants to go pro, and he said as much in Phoenix. But also, he's a guy that if he goes to LSU, and I said this on another show, I think he could turn into Jacob Berry. Like, I think he could turn into a guy that ends up going in the top 10 or top 15 picks in a few years, just because, he's one of the best hitters in the SEC for quite a while. It's kind of hard to find suitors for Ebel right now in the top 50 picks. So depending on how motivated he is to go pro, and I have heard, like I said, that he is motivated to go pro, he would be one that, there's always a William Schmidt, right? There's always a guy that ends up getting to campus that you never expect to actually go to school. And Brady Ebel would be on that short list of 4 or 5 guys that could surprise some people this year. The guy that I'm looking at in this draft that I think is also a coin toss would be Dean Moss. Dean Moss is a guy that fits somewhere in the 2nd round, maybe 3rd round range. He has some traits that are similar to Derek Curiel. He can really, really hit. There's not a lot of power right now, but he can play all 3 outfield positions. It's just another guy where it's like, okay, you got to find one team that has him at the top of the priority list. And it's not to say that he's not a priority, but at some point, the money just runs out in the draft. And I think Dean Moss could be one of those guys that is left in Baton Rouge looking to improve his draft stock in a couple of years. There's
a few more I want to ask about. One that does seem pretty interesting is help me with the last name. It's Miguel Sime or Sime. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. He's the big righty who I was told is touching 100 right now, but might actually have a decision to make because he maybe projects more as a reliever, and that might not be what you're looking for at the top of a draft. So what can you tell us there?
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. Miguel Sime Jr. is a guy that is already touching 101 miles an hour with bat missing life at the top of the zone. He would come in right away and start closing ball games at a minimum for LSU if the strikes are there. The breaking ball has taken a big step, and he's beginning to throw a changeup. But, when you're a guy that's throwing 101 miles an hour, I don't know how polished the secondaries really need to be. You just have to have a breaking ball. So it is reliever risk. From what I understand, there are some teams that are lining up to make offers to Miguel Sime in the draft. But, right now I have him in that fourth-ish round range, $1.1 million valuation. And again, I think he goes pro, but it's not a foregone conclusion.
Any of the guys that are the portal ads from LSU that could be draft choice? I know right now we're keeping it on. Maybe one worth talking about is Cooper Moore from Kansas. He's not committed to LSU, but he visited this week, and my information is they feel pretty good about it, but they're probably going to have to sweat out the draft. What can you tell us about where Moore might be slotted right now?
I think Moore is going to end up on campus. I think they're correct in that. The one that interests me most, Matt, is Braden Simpson out of High Point. 6'1", 190 pounds, and just an absolute tool shed. I mean, just unbelievable tools everywhere on the field. It is a very loud, noisy, I don't want to say obnoxious swing, but there's a lot of moving parts and, home run derby, softball type swing, but he makes a ton of contact. I'm not trying to make him out to be a guy that can't hit. He can really hit. I wonder if a team is going to be willing to throw $400,000 at Braden Simpson, having done all of his production at High Point. It might just be a guy that should end up at LSU and maybe turns himself into a 4th or a 5th rounder in 2026. Really, really exciting player to watch. Easy player to root for. He's got flair. He's got personality. And I would imagine that he's going to be an integral part of the LSU lineup in 2026. So he would be the name. He would be the biggest name that I would be watching from the portal guys.
22 bombs last year. It sounds like you're describing Daniel Dickinson a little bit. A similar comp. I mean, not with the power, obviously, but like a similar comp, just smaller school. Maybe teams just hesitating a little bit to throw a lot of money at a smaller school guy, go prove it at the SEC level.
Yeah, I would say that's fair. Braden Simpson is a lot more explosive than Daniel Dickinson, but
Sure.
like in terms of the track of going from one place to another and how they got here, yeah, I can definitely see the similarities. And like Dickinson, I think Simpson has a chance to play second base and third base, and I would even throw him out in left field if you wanted to get that bat in the lineup and you had enough infielders to make the roster work.
My guy called him a tool shed. I love that so much. I want to use that and not give you credit. Actually, I'll always give you credit. Joe Doyle, you'll get him on Twitter at Joe Doyle, MILB. Great time to follow with the draft coming up this weekend. Of course, over there at Future Star Series and the host of Overslot. Make sure you get it on podcast. Joe, we appreciate it, man, as always. Thank you for the time.
Always a pleasure. Talk to you
man.
soon.
We appreciate you. It is After Further Review. We're brought to you by Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service. ShawBillsTire.com with locations all over South Louisiana. You're never far from a Shaw Bills location. If you're maybe taking that final summer road trip, make sure you bring your vehicle to Shaw Bills. They'll get the tires rotated. They'll get your oil changed. Maybe you need new tires before you hit the road. Bring it to Shaw Bills. Remember, they'll always sell you name brand tires at wholesale prices. They're going to treat you like family, and they'll keep you coming back year after year after year. It's Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service. Man, I love telling you about Shaw Bills and all the great stuff they've done. Miss Beth Barron was named the Modern Tire Dealer of the Year, a national award for Shaw Bills right here in Louisiana. ShawBillsTire.com. Shaw Bills, where we keep you rolling. I appreciate Joe. Always good info there from Joe Doyle as we get close to the draft. Interesting thought on Brady Ebel. I know we're just kind of getting to know some of these guys, but that's the guy who's motivated to sign. He's one, if you remember, we went through it. His dad is a third base coach for the Dodgers. He's a California kid. He's motivated to sign, but maybe the projectability has him in the $400,000 range. Well, if that's the case, do you come to campus where your ceiling is a you're around one guy potentially? It's so. I mean, the baseball draft is just so fascinating because there's so many more dimensions to it than any other draft that exists. So we'll start to get those answers on Sunday. All right, it's After Further Review. We'll knock out a quick break. Mucilev Tigers and the Pros in about 15 minutes from right now. Sam Spiegelman's going to be here in about 45 minutes. We'll get sort of the big picture lay of the land after the dominoes fall today. Lamar Brown picks LSU, a giant win for Brian Kelly over Texas A&M. The Tigers also land DeAnthony Laffey at the edge out of the Orlando area. So a really nice day for the Tigers. They're up to 16 commits now for the class of 2026. Stay here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Clegg's Nursery with 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. What you doing right now? You driving home? Oh, man, all this rain and all this stuff. Maybe rain is breeding these ant hills or maybe mosquitoes all around the house. It's hard to go spend time in your outdoor space because the mosquitoes are driving you crazy. No worries. Clegg's has the answers. Scone, I thought you said that was a flower shop. Well, yeah. Look, I mean, they're a nursery, and they got tons of flowers and plants and trees and shrubs and all the things that you're going to plant to make your outdoor space look beautiful. Johnny Naylor seeds and all that stuff. And they got mulch and they got soil by the bag or in bulk. They got it all. But they also have the things you need to keep the pests away. You need to get rid of ant hills. They got it. You need to get rid of mosquitoes. Go ask about the Aeon mosquito barrier, the thing I tell you about all the time. You'll be dealt with mosquitoes 90 days at a time. Thing costs $30. It's at any of the 4 Clegg's Nursery locations. Wasps or any other roaches or rodents or any other stuff you got at your house that you don't want to be there in your outdoor space, Clegg's can help. Buy local, shop local. Tell them Matt sent you in. Clegg's Nursery.
After Further Review with Matt Moscona. Presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at DecisionCriticalBR.com.
All right, Jamarian Carlton was the third defensive end that we were waiting on an announcement from. Lamar Brown picked LSU earlier today. DeAnthony Lafayette did as well. And just minutes ago, Jamarian Carlton made his pick.
Coach Martin and everybody who else helped me through this journey. And with that being said, I'll be going to Baylor University.
So Jamarian Carlton from Temple, Texas. Shea Dixon was with us on Tuesday. He's about 20 minutes from Baylor's campus. It was expected he was going to stay close to home, pick Baylor. That was the expectation he did. So today went about as according to plan. DeAnthony Lafayette was thought to be a heavy lean to LSU. He picked Jamarian Carlton, was thought to be a heavy lean to Baylor. He picked Baylor. The consensus feeling was that Lamar Brown was going to pick LSU, but he kept it very close to the vest. I could tell you there were people on that staff who even today, this morning, did not know what Lamar Brown was going to do, but ultimately picked LSU as that was the feeling what was going to happen, but until it happens, you don't really know. We opened up the show today with our thoughts on Lamar Brown, and you can go catch that on demand. As always, AFR On Demand presented by Breck Golf. Book your tee time at golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org. But I gave you my thoughts on Lamar Brown, and we are going to have Sam Spiegelman with us in about 45 minutes. We look forward to having Sam to talk not only about Lamar, but big picture LSU class, what else is still out there and all that stuff. But Andrew Ivins is the director of scouting for 24/7 Sports, and he gave his breakdown of Lamar Brown today after the commitment.
This is a guy that's going to impact the college football playoff race for years to come. I think outside of the two quarterbacks we have ranked at the top, we feel the most confident in Lamar Brown. And we've gone back and forth with him, but what really sold us was this offseason, seeing him move around. We didn't know, is he an offensive lineman? Is he a defensive lineman? Well, guess what? It doesn't matter because he would be the number one ranked interior lineman for us, and he's the number one ranked defensive lineman for us. He's such a unicorn of a player. We really haven't seen an individual that's pushing 6'5", 285 pounds, that can move the way he does.
I mean, that's high praise when you're talking about a guy that we said could impact the CFP race for years to come. But you heard there when Andrew Ivins from 24/7 said Brown can be used on either side of the ball, offense or defense. You know, Andy Martin, the head coach at U-High, sat in here with us yesterday for nearly a half an hour, and we talked about darn near every angle you can imagine with Lamar. And I asked how they plan to use him this year at U-High.
He's been, as a freshman, he played a lot more defense and offense for us. Towards the end of the year, he started on offense. We saw a need for it. And sophomore and junior year, it's been mainly offensive line with him rotating on the defensive line. And that will be again this year. He's our anchor on the offensive line. He's our best offensive line we have. And he does a great job, not only just with his play on the field, but there was a communication with the young guys around him. He does a really good job of doing all those things. And so, I think we're going to use him as one of our best offensive linemen. He'll come in and play as much defense as he can.
It's so interesting, man. You got a guy that's a 5-star defensive lineman, doesn't even play defensive line in high school. You see guys switch positions. That's not uncommon. But you don't typically see guys that are 5 stars in high school then switch positions in college, which is what it looks like, obviously Lamar Brown's going to do at LSU. But the other thing that I asked Andy about Lamar, in case you missed this, I would highly recommend you go listen to or watch the full interview. We covered a lot of ground. I'm just going to give you a few little tidbits from what he said. Was one, why Lamar is ultimately at the next level going to pick defense instead of offense.
I think it's something that he really wants to do, and he's very. He is being recruited as an athlete because he's an athlete. He's almost 6'5", he's 300 pounds, and we're going to run our 40s next week, and he's going to pop a very good time. And he runs in our skill group with our second group of skill guys, and that's where he chooses to run because he wants to run there and get faster and do all the things he does. So, I think he would be a very good offensive lineman also. I think he'd go in and play guard or play center, and I think he's also going to be able to do it on defense. He's going to be a very powerful defensive lineman. His feet are so good. He's so athletic down there, and he's got great leverage for a guy that big, and I think he's going to disrupt a lot of things.
The interesting thing about what Andy said there is about how Lamar could play guard or center at the next level. And that makes sense, right? At one point, he was the best interior offensive lineman in the country before he sort of announced he intends to play defense. That's how LSU's recruiting him. But what if there is a logjam, or what if he doesn't get on the field defensively? Now, LSU has done an exceptional job of recruiting the interior of the offensive line. Karius Kern's a 5-star. Now, Kern played left tackle in fall camp, but he was recruited as an interior lineman. Solomon Thomas was a 5-star interior offensive lineman out of Florida. Guys like Cohen Eccles, who projects potentially as the next great center at LSU. You've done a great job recruiting the interior of that offensive line. But I mean, Lamar Brown may be better than all those guys at that position. If he gets to campus, maybe he plays defense for a year, it doesn't work, he could flip back. But clearly, they're recruiting him as a defensive player, and that's a spot where they very clearly need help as well. The other thing that I asked Andy was about inside or out, because you heard the cut from Andrew Ivins from 24/7, who talked about Brown being 285. I mean, Andy told us that Lamar Brown's is just under 6'5". He's up to 300 pounds. And you don't typically see 300-pound ends, right? I mean, like Savion Jones a year ago at 275, 280 was a quote-unquote big end. Now you're talking about Lamar Brown at 6'5", 300? Like, those dudes typically, I mean, that's Don McKinley. Those dudes are typically playing on the interior, blowing things up. So, Brown inside or outside, and remember, Andy Martin, who's the head coach at U Heights, who we're talking to here, Andy's background is defense. He's a defensive coordinator before he became the head coach. So he has coached the defensive side of the ball at all levels for a long time and understands defense at a very, very high level. But this was an interesting point about Lamar Brown playing inside or outside.
And we'll continue to see what his body does, too. You know, if he keeps getting bigger to where he's 330 pounds. But you can look at him right now. He's 300 pounds, and you couldn't tell. He holds his weight and carries his weight so well that when you tell him people he's 300 pounds, like, I don't see it. You know, so I think that helps with it. His athleticism is off the chart. And so whether they want to put him on the strong side and try to stop that run and disrupt the pass run, you know, the quarterback, all that type of stuff, and he can definitely do that. And so I think you know, whether it ends up staying outside, whether it goes down in, whatever the plan is for him long term, he's going to do well.
When he talked about a guy, you got to wait and see what his body does. You know what immediately popped into my mind was Devon Gottschall. Devon Gottschall, I'm not saying there's a comp, it's how it's going to go. It just reminded me of this. When Gottschall showed up, remember, he played, if you don't remember this, Devon Gottschall in high school at Plaquemine was a defensive end at Plaquemine. And he tore his ACL his senior year. And he gets to LSU, rehabs, and he becomes a starter as a true freshman at defensive tackle. So we went from end to tackle. And now in the NFL, Gottschall is a 330-pound nose tackle for the New Orleans Saints. His body, he just kept being able to add more weight to his frame while maintaining the speed and the athleticism and the power, and he just kept moving closer to the ball. It's interesting. When you think about Brown being a 17, 18-year-old, well, what does it look like at 19, 20, 25, 27, 30? You know, like, I'm not thinking too far ahead, but yes, what does his body continue to do? If you're that big at this age, what might it look like as you get into a college strength and conditioning program? So all things that we'll see in time, but it's exciting, man. Lamar Brown, the number one player in the country according to ESPN, the number one athlete according to On3 in the composite. He's the number 7 overall player in the country, and Tigers continue to stockpile, man. That's 4 5-stars in LSU's class already, with Tristan Keys, Lamar Brown, Richard Anderson, and Trenton Henderson, who popped last week around the 4th of July. 4 5-stars in this class for LSU. It is they are building a hall right now, Brian Kelly and the staff. All right, it is After Further Review. Our Thursday shows are brought to you by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge. Not just healthcare, it's healthcare for your lifestyle. Maybe you're a 40-something and you're raising kids, you've got aging parents, and then at some point you become the primary caregiver for your parents. Well, you know, if you need help at home, Decision Critical can do that. You know, maybe it's, you know, sometimes they have patients call for themselves. You know, you're having some type of plastic surgery, some type of procedure. You need, you know, transportation and pre and post-operative care. Decision Critical's concierge nurses can help with that. Maybe you're a parent leaving the hospital with a newborn child and you need help at home and you have concerns. Decision Critical's expert nurses can help with that as well. It's Decision Critical BR. It's not just healthcare, it's healthcare for your lifestyle. Call to set up that consultation at decisioncriticalbr.com. Decisioncriticalbr.com. All right, y'all, it's After Further Review. We're pumped to have you aboard with us here. A ton still to do. Again, Sam Spiegelman will be here in 45 minutes. We'll talk a little more about the recruiting landscape. I do want to talk about Cooper Moore at the top of the hour. That's the Kansas pitcher who visited LSU this week, and as I understand, trending pretty nicely for LSU, but you'll have to sweat out the draft as well. So we'll talk a little bit more about Cooper Moore in about 15 minutes from right now. We'll come back. Muse will do Tigers and the Pros. Don't you move.
After further review.
If you want to feel like you did when you were younger, Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness can help. Yes, they do ED treatments. That's part of what they do. But it's only part of what they do. If you have ED, call Goodwood. They'll help you. Hormone replacement therapy is transformative. A simple blood test can let you know if you're a candidate for HRT. And I don't care who you are. Every single one of us, you, me, all of us, as we age, our bodies produce less of the hormones that contribute to how we feel. If you could safely, affordably supplement to get to healthy levels, which assists with cardiovascular health, prostate health. Think of this. You ever hear of 20-somethings with prostate cancer? Testosterone levels, research shows, are correlated there. You want to have better energy, better waking energy, sleep better, burn fat, build muscle, better libido. All of it could be a candidate for TRT. Learn more at yourgoodwood.com. That's yourgoodwood.com.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
All right, wrapping up hour number 2. Miuso. Tigers in the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
Told you yesterday that the Yankees DFA'd DJ LeMahieu. Has now been given his outright release, so DJ is now officially a free agent. We'll keep you updated on his next move. I would imagine there's a team that would love to have DJ LeMahieu in their lineup somewhere. He can still swing the bat. He can still swing the bat.
I mean, you know the movie Little Big League?
Yeah.
You ever see that movie?
Yeah. It's not one of my favorites, but I've seen it, yeah.
That's where the kid's the manager of the Twins.
Yeah.
Well, like, his favorite player, I forget the guy's name, his favorite player in the whole team, whatever, is at the end of his road. And then he's old, aging veteran. And so the kid's in the dugout with the old bench coach, and guy gets a single, CNI single. He goes, see, I told you could still do it. And the old wise bench coach says, if you're that excited about a CNI single, doesn't that illustrate the problem? Like, that's kind of DJ right now.
Okay, well, I mean, he's hitting like 265.
260, yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be a contender. There's somebody in the bigs that could use a DJ LeMahieu to round out this season.
Yeah, but see, you get to that point where you go, wouldn't you rather develop the younger guy?
Yeah, I mean,
like, the contender is the one that would say, give me the veteran piece that could get me over the hump. I don't know that DJ's that piece anymore.
Well, you just heard it here. DJ LeMahieu to the Dodgers, confirmed right there. There it is.
I didn't say that.
Grant Taylor threw a shutout inning of relief. Get his 5th hold of the season for the White Sox. Really important because it was a 1-run ball game. Did punch out a hitter. He's just been awesome. Cole Henry has been awesome as well. Still sporting a 3.8 ERA. Did give up a run last night, but also punched out a guy in an inning of relief. Josh Smith.
Cali High!
2 for 4 night for Josh Smith. Both of them doubles, so he's up to 16 now. Also drove in a run, and he scored twice. He's just really good, and it's criminal he's not in the All-Star game. Angel Reese, another double-double a night ago, 15 and 11, shot 60% from the floor. Just really solid there. Anissa Morrow with 6 and 6 off the bench for the Connecticut Sun. 6 and 7 off the bench for the Connecticut Sun. She was a +9. And over at the Genesis Scottish Open, of course, event that precedes the British Open, Sam Burns, 3 under par in his first round, tied for 14th. Really good start there for our guy. That's Tigers in the Pros.
Presented by Parish Restoration. ParishRestoration.com. ParishRestoration.com. Kill mold, remove odor, spray that patented non-toxic dry fog treatment. It's ParishRestoration.com. You want to kill mold, remove odor? Check them out. It's cost-effective. It's efficient. It's Parish Restoration. I was pulling into the Parish office today, and man, driving out those big old Sprinter vans with the hoses all the way through them to come to your house, your office. They could spray your home, your vehicle, gigantic commercial buildings, no matter the square footage. ParishRestoration.com. Learn more, ParishRestoration.com. ParishRestoration.com. I'm fired up about this, man. Breaking news. Breaking news. What a day for the Tigers. Lamar Brown commits, DeAnthony Lafayette commits, and then Shea Dixon just minutes ago with the news. LSU has hired NOLA native and LSU alum Jeff Martin as executive director of player personnel per sources. Oh, no way! Oh! Let's go, man. So I texted Jeff. I just texted him, let's go, with a bunch of tiger face emojis. He texted me back. He's on the treadmill watching AFR. Look at my guy.
AFR mojo,
Let's
man.
go.
He gets it.
Come
Jeff
on,
gets it.
Man. Let's do it.
After further review.
Man, you know what I got to do? I got to go have dinner at Supper Club to celebrate this. That's what I got to do. It's 4:55 right now. 5 minutes from right now, Supper Club's opening. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to I'm call Erica. Muse, call Erica. Tell her I'm not coming home. Well, I'm coming home eventually.
Just not immediately.
Not immediately.
Yeah.
I'm going to Supper Club, and I'm going to go sit at the bar. I'm going to pour me a whiskey. I'm going to toast to Jeff Martin coming back to LSU. Huge executive director of player personnel. I'm going to go give me that. I think I'm going to get that veal chop.
You say that all the time, then you get a steak.
Except the last time when I went and I got the veal.
Oh, you went through with it?
I did.
Oh,
Last
good for
time I
you,
went, I got
Scum.
the
Let's
veal.
go, dude.
I got the veal. But I'm probably going to get a steak then. That's what I do. But you can't go wrong when you go to Supper Club. Get your reservations at supperclubbtr.com. Supperclubbtr.com.